All right. Hello, hello, everybody. How are we doing? Well, we have nostalgia in the chat. This is it, the last lesson. You're not wrong. All right, let's get my screen over here. All right, this looks good. We made it to the final lesson. Hello, hello, everybody. I see some familiar names here in the chat. I'm a little confused as to why when I share my screen, I also have Sagal showing up here as well. Well, we'll see how that goes. At any rate, yes, we are here. Oh my goodness, I have people remembering my history. How am I? It's Tuesday. I'm doing pretty good. How was my trip to New Orleans? It was cold. It was very cold, but it was good. Definitely good to be back. Good to see you all for lesson 19. So it seems like the cat's out of the bag. We all understand this is the last lesson, right? So tonight, what we will be doing is breaking this down into two sections. First section is going to be a sort of general coverall of what's coming up next. There's a variety of steps that go into your internal and your external project as part of our internship experience. Then you get to work with your mentors, and we're going to get you prepared to get out into the job market, start interviewing and getting into your first jobs. The reason that we did this whole program, right, was to be able to get into a new career, or if you're already in sort of the tech world, we'll be shifting over and you'll just be doing something tech adjacent to what you were already doing. Anthony's pumped. I'd love to see it. Get this shmoney. That's funny. Denzel, what's going on? Good to see you. Let's see. So real quick question, I'll address this before we get into all the goodies for tonight. The question is there any way I could join the next class for the internship? Who should I talk to? I don't know if you're able to like cohort hop or not. I would reach out to advisors at careers.com, see if they can kind of give you some insight on that. To my knowledge, I believe you stay with your cohort, but if they want to prove me wrong, I'd be happy to be proven wrong, right? So that being said, let's just jump into this here. So we're going to be talking about, again, real quick, what's coming up next. I'll be breaking down the timeline here in further detail, but effectively what I just told you. When we get you into the internship experience, this is where you're going to be putting all the pieces together and actually seeing what it's like to do this as a job. So we're going to have our internal and our external projects. I'll explain these a little bit more as the next two slides go through. After that, you'll be getting into your mentorship. Now this has expanded. The mentorship period has grown. It's more involved. You're going to be getting more out of it. So you'll be having your interview preparation, your resume, and your LinkedIn either creation or optimization. So if you are in the boat where you don't have either one of those things, no problem. We'll help you put it together. If you do already have one of those, also great. And we'll just help you optimize it and make sure that it is ready for the job market. You're also going to be getting some mock interviews with your mentor. I found this to be one of the probably most beneficial things out of the program to get me from, yeah, I kind of get it, to, yeah, I'm ready for this. There's general comprehension, understanding theory, kind of knowing dictionary definitions, but then actually sitting and mocking a couple of interviews just to see what's your flow, what's your cadence, do you feel really comfortable with the answers that you're giving, stuff like that. I found that to be very beneficial. And then once they give you the green light, you begin your job search. Now, job search can take anywhere from 2 to 4 months. typically for most people. I do always share that my experience happens to have been faster. Now, maybe that's just, because I'm so handsome, but it also could just be preparation. And I'd be willing to bet that with, good diligent studying tips, making sure that you understand the top, I would say 20 interview questions and the best ways to answer those. Also knowing not only what to say, but what not to say, right? These are two things that go together. They're both sides of the same coin. So your mentor will be working with you on that, making sure you know how to present yourself, what to give in a presentation, what not to give in a presentation, stuff like that. Yeah, those are all really beneficial for you. And then you get to that last bubble, the starting your career in tech, right? And that's the biggest bubble. That's the longest bubble. We hope that one lasts for a very, very long time. So that's it. All right, see ya. No, of course not. Come on, let's get some more details about what's going to go into that. So the internal project, we have the terminology here is internal and external project. These are both part of your basically your internship experience. So this is going to be a relatively quick part of the program. It's going to be a week and a half of guided practice. This is your internal project that we go over here. And I would like to consider this just sort of review, right? This is just make sure you're feeling good to go before you actually step out to work with that real company for a period of time. So during this phase, as we have written here, you're going to have the opportunity to review and practice your foundational skills that are necessary for succeeding in the external project, right? So if you think, hey, I want to go over test cases one more time, I want to go over bug reports one more time, I'm not entirely sure I feel ready for just like the front end checks that we would be doing. Well, that's a very broad one, but I would say like the foundational skills, right? Can you install an app? Can you use Chrome DevTools? Really like fundamental stuff. If you feel good with those, awesome. And if you're feeling like a little bit of review is needed, that's what this period is here for. So these will be the most frequent tasks you can expect to encounter. Using this time to practice what you've learned, I would like you to boost your confidence ahead of the internship. A phrase that I repeat often is confident and competent. And I think that that's sort of a mantra or a mentality or a mindset that you should be carrying through the remainder of your time with Careerist and then continuing forward into your job, right? For a lot of you, give me a quick show of hands in the chat just so I remember who's coming to this completely fresh from tech. Like you don't have any coding experience, you don't have a computer science degree or anything like that. All right, yeah. So right off the bat, that's the vast majority of people. I got hands raised. I've got yeses in the chats. Arlandra's like, hi. Yeah, so totally true, right? So you're coming from zero, basically. Your baseline was like no experience. And so I can understand if there's some nerves, maybe a little bit of anxiety where you're thinking, oh, like, do I fully have my hand on this? And I would like you to feel confident and competent. Again, this is sort of like the catchphrases that I would like to be attaching to this. So, you don't need to know how to code. You're not in charge of like large groups of people. You're not having to work overtime. Just don't sweat it, right? I'll get more into that a little bit later, but let me get myself back on track. So the internal project, again, week and a half, it's the review of fundamentals, your foundation knowledge, making sure that you feel confident before you get into that internship experience. So how do you start? How do you do it? Hold on. Matthew's killing me. I set up the VCR once, dude. That's hardcore. You're ready for anything. I know you can do it. So how to start the internal project? Real straightforward. You need to have a total score in this program of over 80%. How do you do that? You need to make sure that you have attended or watched all of the lessons. So, 1 through 19, including tonight. You need to have completed all of the quizzes, including that final quiz, which I believe is in lesson 15 for you. And then you need to have submitted your homework for review before the deadline. And when we say the deadline, that is 3 days from today. So today being Tuesday, the 21st, that means by Friday evening, we need to have everything done there, and everything needs to have been submitted. So if you missed that deadline, it's not great, but it's not going to be the end of the world. I do want to tell you, though, that your internship participation may get delayed. Now, I have to feel that the vast majority of people in class are not in a boat where they're like, oh, I'm worried about not getting through this, right? If you are, please try to reach out to one of the advisors. If you feel like you warrant a special case that you need to catch up on a lot of stuff. I think it's all very straightforward, right? Like, just have attended or watched all the videos, complete that final quiz, and then your homework needs to have been submitted and approved. For the people, let's see, you're talking about the homework in lesson 6. Yes, that is true. Believe it or not, some people get close to the end and they have not submitted that yet. So if you are that, then don't be that. And then for the final quiz, Sakta, you should have already taken that. Like I said, I believe that was in, I think that was like lesson 15 or something like that. But yeah, you should have already done that, I would guess. So those are your big 3. This sounds complicated, or I hope it doesn't sound complicated, but if it does, it's not. Just get it all done. You will know if you have any sort of outstanding projects, homeworks, things like that. You'll know because it'll probably say something in your learning space or in your student dashboard there. I'm sure there would be some sort of a message saying like, you haven't completed everything, or your completion rate is under 80% or something like that. So, someone has, let's see, if we submitted, have to resubmit it again with corrections. Yeah, that's probably true. And I would imagine everyone's pretty much all caught up. Sounds like everybody gets it. And yeah, Sandra, I hope I'm not going to contribute to the information overload anxiety. My hope for tonight is to give you a roadmap of what's coming up, but I do want to assuage any fears that you have about that. It's easier than you think it is. I promise. So what was I saying? So the internship information. So once you've done all of the requirements, you're going to have this card show up in your learning space. And that's going to have a checklist that's going to be preparing you for the internship experience. It's a checklist, right? You know what to do, right? Go through it, review all of the checklist items. If you don't see it there tonight, continue checking back to your learning space daily, as we will possibly update you over tonight or tomorrow or Thursday night or something like that. Some of you may already have that internship card in your dashboard. So, just keep an eye out for that for the next couple of days. I am rapidly just trying to get through the chat here. In my internship, it says at 12 on the 27th. So this is the real time. Is this Eastern time, 12 p.m.? I would guess that might be true. Yeah, because that would be 9 a.m. West Coast time for us late people out here. So I would think that's true. If you find that there's a conflict with you being able to get to one of your internship meetings, either with the person that's with Careerist or when you're in your internship project and you have to reach out to that QA lead, if you feel like there's going to be a timing info, try to initiate communication as soon as possible. Just reach out and say, hey, this conflicts with something that I have on my schedule, but when can I make this time up? Can I check in afterwards? Can I get a recording? Can I get a one-on-one with you? Something like that. Being proactive is a great way to show that you care and that you're going to get your work done on time, for sure. And for anything else like date related, I'll be real honest. So Deirdre, you had asked, can we push the start date of the internal out a week or two? I don't have control over that. I'm just a talking head and I get to tell you all of the fun information. I don't have any sway over when you can start or modify your start dates or anything like that. So same thing for you. I would say reach out to advisors@careerist.com. If you have a pressing limitation that prevents you from doing that, then talk to them about an extenuating circumstance. If you're just trying to push it out because you feel some perhaps general anxiety or you feel like you're not quite prepared, I would tell you to push through that and get started on that date anyways. Paulina, is this a paid internship? No, it is not. Not only is it very short, but it is to your benefit to be doing the internship. We create partnerships and we create relationships with these companies so that you get the opportunity to get some real world hands-on experience with a project. And it's going to be a matter of like a couple of weeks that you're actually doing the internship. So it goes by very, very quickly. You are not getting paid, but it is rolled in as a benefit from the tuition that you paid to take this course. So blah, 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 Brandon, check your learning dashboard to make sure you get that internship information. Now, internal versus external, a key difference is going to be the internal project that is still under the sort of tutelage of careerist personnel, right? That is still with teachers from here in the company. When you have finished with that, you're going to be moving on to the external project, external internship project. That is going to be with one of those partner companies. You are no longer working with a careerist instructor at that point, okay? When you are doing that, you're going to be working with a QA lead who is at that company. They are going to be assigning you tasks and providing directions about whatever project it is that you are assigned to, okay? So a major difference between the two. Internal project, that's still like review time, that's prep time, that's working with an instructor. External project, that's go time. That's, I want you to get real professional, real world experience. You're going to be reporting to that QA lead, no longer an instructor within the company here. They are your point of contact when working on that external project. And let's see. So to your question about how do we know who is our advisor? Like in general, you can reach out. When I say like advisors@careerist.com, that's not to one person. That is sort of a group email, and one of the advisors can reach out and answer those questions. If you're asking of, how do you know what internship project that you're going to be assigned to? I don't know. We have a rotation of companies that we partner with, and I'm sure that the companies you have will be different than the ones that I had. I don't have like a lookbook of who you'd be assigned to, but I know that they've all been, professionally vetted and signed on to be part of the program here. And Paulina, what is the name of our position? If you're referring to like when you're at the internship, I suppose you'd be a QA intern. It's not really, I will tell you this. So when you ask like, what is the name of the position? Even when you refer to this experience in the future on your resume, on your LinkedIn profile, you're going to work with your mentor and they will help you structure and present this in the best way possible. But I'm going to tell you, like, don't talk about that as an internship, talk about it as project experience. That's like a very, very short thing into there. I don't want to get into like a diatribe, but talk with the mentors. There's a way, there's a method to best present the information that you know, the skills that you have, and the experience you have underneath your belt. For the internship, I believe it's going to be, if my memory serves correctly, it's going to be about 2 hours a day during that time period, just weekdays, not weekends. And that time can be flexible. I know I was still working a full-time job at the time that I did this. So you can keep your 9 to 5 and then do your internship from like, 5:30 to 7:30 at night, or 6 to 8 or something like that. Or if your time frame is a little bit more flexible, or maybe you're working nights, you should be able to get all that stuff set up for some time during the day. I have 2 questions here. I need some clarification. So Asif, I think I answered your question as well as Tara. If you have a time conflict, then yeah, you want to try to initiate communication with them and let them know, maybe you're at work during that time when you're supposed to have a meeting. Reach out, try to be proactive as soon as you have that assignment, and just say, hey, can I set up a separate one-on-one with you, or can I just catch up afterwards? What would you prefer? Like, think about how you would talk to a manager or an employer, right? Take that sort of proactive initiative with them. Let's see. With the Tiffany, you had a question here. With the internal project, it says we need to sign up for TestRail and Jira. Do we sign up or wait on an email? So that's a good question. If you don't already have general access, you broken record, but maybe reach out to one of the instructors or the advisors. or I don't know if you guys have access to like general Slack yet, if you guys are communicating amongst Slack with any of the instructors. Double check on that one, to be honest. Because I don't think you can just like sign on and get an account by yourself to like TestRail or something like that. But I believe you would get assigned like login information or account information to be able to get into that. That's a fair question. I will reach out to the support team and make sure that they push an answer to that out for you. But my guess would be that they provide you that information right before you start the internal project. And I'm sorry, I'm being a little bit vague and not 100% specific, but that's just to the best of my knowledge. They should provide it to you, because I don't think you can access like a corporate setup like that. And then Paulina, you had asked, is it going to be recorded or we have to be live? What specifically are you referring to? If it's like your internship, it's not recorded. It's basically like you have work assigned to you when you like do it. So you might have like, here's 20 test cases. I need you to go and validate these. You run through the test cases, you give them a pass or fail. Things that fail, of course, you have to write up a bug report. No one's micromanaging you. They're not like over your shoulder watching you do it. You don't have to be on camera in front of somebody doing this. You want to be sort of like clocked in and doing the work and focused. Don't be like, playing video games and having snacks at the same time. But, it's done remote, it's done at your house or wherever you are doing your work. And it's all just going to be, it's going to be like online. Do we have to be online? Yeah, it's all remote. It's all online. Absolutely. And to see if you're giving some good support here. You said, I think that they said the meetings will be recorded for people who missed them. If so, and they kind of update these programs as it goes along. I'm just, it's been several years since I've actually gone through this. So, perhaps I'm missing something, but, hey, Linda, heads up, you have a camera on, and I'm actually not supposed to have been able to let you do that. So give me a second here. We are going to make sure that yep. Sorry, 1 second. We're just going to go through the list of everybody that's in class. Let's do me a solid here. Everybody just make sure you have your cameras off and your mics muted. You're really not supposed to be able to do that anyways, but that's fun. Not to put you on blast. I just want to make sure you know what's going on your own computer. Cool. All right. Sorry for the delay there. Let's get moving on. So we talked about the external project. This is your internship. Let's make sure we get any final questions. It is all in the card. Yes, I mean, this should be true. What Connor says should hold true. All of the internship, internal and external project information should be when you actually sign up to get into that project. You should have all that information right there. Final question before we move on. Tiffany is asking, do some people get hired when in the internship? No, and that actually is to your benefit, believe it or not, Tiffany. So short answer to that, no. The companies that you're working at during your internship experience, one, you're only there for like 2 weeks. So I would maybe say you're not going to make a lasting impression, not to say that you won't be valued, right? But they're not going to like look at you enough to say, yeah, we would want to hire you. But two, and the more important thing, you don't want to get hired at the place you're doing the internship at, because they are going to perceive you as like, okay, you're fresh out of a program. You just completed like a boot camp or a certificate experience, and now you're fresh into the field. And so I'm going to offer you bottom tier rates because you're just starting out. I don't want that for you. We don't want that for you. So what you're going to want to do is go out and apply to other companies. You're going to be showing on your resume and your LinkedIn profile that I have these skill sets. I have these technical abilities. These are projects that I've worked on. This is the kind of task I can handle. And you're going to be presenting yourself as a QA engineer, not as an intern or a recent graduate or as a certificate earner, right? It's all about, perception is reality. And when we can present you as a viable professional and not like a noob, that's going to pay you out literally. You're going to benefit from that quite literally. Yeah, I don't want that for me. Listen, I don't want that for you either. So that's my real talk for you. Some reference material. So during the projects, of course, as you all should sort of expect by now, you're going to be using Jira and TestRail. These are your two biggest tools that you'll be using. And you're also going to be working in an agile environment. So you're going to be using a Scrum process. If you need refreshers on these things, I'm actually going to let me grab a few links here for you. In the chat, you guys can save these, open them up in tabs somewhere else. I know you still want to listen to my voice, so don't leave just yet. And this one right here. So these are a couple of links about Agile and Scrum if you just need a quick refresher. Of course, you can go back into the lessons and watch that content as well. And then I've also put two different links here. The third link is for TestRail, and then the fourth one is for Jira. So just give those a quick watch. Make sure you feel pretty good about what you're doing. They are as easy as I hope you think that they are, right? Using TestRail, using Jira, they're ridiculously easy. And even if you step into your first job and you say, I understand 60% of how to use Jira. I understand like 70% of how to write a full test case. As long as you know the fundamentals, you can work out the edge case stuff. Totally promise you. Yep. So there you go. Just hold on to those. This should kind of go without saying, but I do want to make sure that it's out loud. So in the internship, when you're participating in that project, you're going to be working as part of a team, right? So you might be working with one other person. You might be working with 3 other people in order to get through work and accomplish your tasks. It's very easy to do, but it's a collaborative participatory experience. So it is important to always be polite and patient and professional and all the other P's with your teammates and your leads. Aim to be punctual. There's another one, and attentive. Okay. The part that I think goes without saying is that your participation and your work progress are expected by these partner companies. So like, duh, don't just log in and slack off until it's time to log out or something like that. The internship is also practice for real world, like what it's going to be like in your first job. And so the reason that I kind of want to go off a little bit here is that it is a reality that working remote, when you're working just via Slack and Zoom and Teams and Google Meet, whatever your company uses, you might not fully understand somebody's mood. You might not fully understand someone's tone. You might not understand if they're being sarcastic or serious, and vice versa, of course. So think about a time you've been texting like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, friend, anything like that, and your intention got misinterpreted because you were texting. It's not impossible for that to happen in the workplace, right? Because we're all chatting, we're all using Messenger, stuff like that. You're sending memes and haha. But I would encourage you that in general, put your best professional foot forward. Always try to assume the positive. So if you're chatting with someone that's parallel to you or above you, you're trying to get information and it seems like maybe they're just being a little short, or maybe it just seemed a little curt. I strongly encourage you, err on the side of positivity, assume the best, always try to communicate positively, right? Okay, so Anthony, yeah, you can relate for sure. It's just a reality. And I'm not telling you that this is going to happen all the time and your words are going to be misconstrued, and it's like high school lunch break all over again. But, it's just a reality that communication is imperfect in a virtual digital work environment. It's good, but it's not perfect. So just try to put your best foot forward. Okay. And then this last sentence here that we'd written out is, your work results are reviewed at the end of each stage, and the internship leads will evaluate your performance. I'm going to assume everyone here seems like they're attentive and they're doing their work and you're all asking the right questions. So I'm sure that's not going to be a problem. But I really generally, when we go through lesson 19, I do want to take a little time and just talk about this, like in the internship and then your work life in general. Think about communication, think about how you can bring the best possible communication to the table. That being said, I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you and maybe some warnings and some extra learning stuff. And it sounds like maybe this cautionary tale, and then it's going to be really hard out there. I want to give a very strong reminder that this job is fairly simple and straightforward. Okay. That's why it's in like size 1 billion font right here. Like you're going to be working with a team. You'll have a lead. They're both going to be supporting you. So like your peers are in it to win it just as much as you are. Generally, like what I have found in tech is that your leads are very positive. Project managers are very positive. Everybody wants to make the product work right. And everybody wants to have a good time at work, right? Like we're in a pretty happy career path. People aren't trying to screw with your juju. So just for all of the things where I'm saying like, be careful of this or watch out for that. Like the job is not hard. Truly, the job is not hard. The biggest challenge is not the job itself, which I would agree with. The biggest challenge for you in the near future is going to make sure that you get the best job offers in the shortest possible time frame. Again, that window, that expected window for you to land a job from the day that you send out your first application, probably 2 to 4 months. But I did it in 24 days, and I don't think I brought any special weapons to the table. So I think if I can do it, you can do it. All right. And then one other note here, you won't necessarily need to apply everything that you've learned in this course at all of your jobs. Case in point, at the company that I work at now, to this day, I have never used ADB. So like, do I know how to use ADB? Yes. Have I had to use it in the nearly 2 years that I've been at this current company I'm at? No. What else? Even like Xcode, same thing. We get our apps delivered to us in a different way. We use TestFlight for iOS, and for Android, there's just an email address that I download the APK files from. So haven't had to use those things in nearly 2 years. So just as a point, you won't need to remember every single thing that you've learned all the time, every day. Don't put that stress on yourself. It's going to be basically checking things against requirements, writing bug reports, and maybe writing test cases. Pretty much it. No. All good. Let's see. There was a couple of things here. And Anthony asked, 24 days, was that getting the first job? Yes, it was. Yeah, that was me getting my first position. I can talk about that more at the end for sure. The process was probably it was kind of fun, right? Let me get through a couple extra points here. And then actually, I see some good questions here. So let me just blast through these because this is good information for you to know. And then I see a bunch of questions here. So we'll make sure we touch on those. At this point tonight, you are considered graduates, okay? And as such, you get access to the graduate meetings. Now, this is important. They will help you land a job faster. It's true. During these meetings, we're going to help answer your questions and then share fellow graduates' success stories and tips. So these are attendance is required, but it's also beneficial, okay? So these are every Saturday from now until the end of time, or until you get your first job. They are 6 o'clock p.m. If you're out here on the West Coast, that equals to 9 p.m. out on the East Coast. You will get a link to those meetings, probably like Thursday or Friday every week to be looking to do that. In the meetings, effectively, it's like about an hour and a half, maybe a little bit less, but you will have time to ask questions, questions that you have about your job search, questions that you have about the job, maybe in general. Try to keep it high level. Because without practical real world experience, you can't be asking too many nuanced questions without any sort of context, right? But what makes these meetings so beneficial is getting real-time feedback on, hey, these are things that I'm asking during interviews. These are things that I'm being asked during interviews. How do you handle this? But then also pretty much every graduate meeting that I remember going to, there would be someone who had recently landed a job. So either one of your, fellow people in the cohort here or from a different group, chances are good there's going to be some sort of a special guest speaker on there who was a graduate of this program and they just landed a job. Hearing their interview process, hearing the way that they handled questions, kind of getting a feel for what's being asked in the job market right now is so beneficial. It's hugely beneficial. And if nothing else, it's just good to hear that, hey, somebody else was also a little bit nervous about their interview process, but they still stuck the landing. They got the job. If they can do it, you can do it, right? So that's, they're beneficial, they're required, go to them. Now, that being said, if you miss a couple of them, the world does not end. They are recorded. You can watch them afterwards, but you do kind of miss out on the opportunity to be able to ask questions, which I think can be very beneficial. You probably have this by now, but I'm going to slide this into the chat as well. This is the super long video of Max reading through the interview questions and answers document, which I believe you also have access to right now. Do not skip this. Like, don't skip this. You watch this video multiple times, read this document multiple times. The top 20 questions and the best ways to answer them, write them out on a pad of paper. Like, go through that process of actually thinking about the questions, how to best answer them. Practice in front of a mirror, practice in front of your friends, practice in front of your dog. I don't care who it is, watch it. Okay. Just multiple times. This, like, hands down, if there's one thing that prepared me for my interviews, it was this. So to be able to remember what I said, confident and competent. That's what I want you to approach your interviews like. And the way that you get there is knowing this information cold. Okay. So watch the video, read the document, make notes, be like a crazy person in front of the mirror. Just go through it multiple times until you know this. The top like 20 questions that are on this sheet, I would bet they will probably make up 80% of all questions you will be asked during an interview. And so they're very, very important. Also, knowing how to answer these things allows you room to not sweat it as much, figuratively and literally, during your interviews. Okay. So knowing these questions, knowing how to answer them, you're going to have this just off the cuff. You'll be feeling very comfortable answering. So you're going to present better just technically, but you probably also will present better as a person because you're going to have a little bit of breathing room. You're going to be able to inject a little bit of your personality into that interview so they can see, like, who am I as a human being, right? I'm not just a statistic. I'm not just a list of answers. I'm this person. I bring this to the table. These are some of my soft skills. Maybe they get a sense for just how you conduct yourself and are you going to be a good fit for the company? Like wow, I'm blanking on the word that I want. The corporate vibe, man. I'm forgetting the word that I want there, but you understand what I'm saying. The corporate culture. There it is. I forgot my other. There it is. Aus, you got me right at the same time. There it is. Yep, it's one of those C words. So that being said, I remember my very first interview, like, no word of a lie. I had 2 pages, like like notebook pages like this, and I had written out the top 20 questions and answers. And I had those pieces of paper like right here on my monitor, just outside of the camera view, so that I could reference those notes in case I got nervous during the interview. It ended up being more of a crutch than anything else. And so I tossed those for the next few that I did, and I ended up just fine. And I didn't need them, right? Like I said, it was more of a hindrance than a help. But knowing those things cold, I will say this day in and out, that was the most important thing to me landing a job so quickly, was like knowing how to conduct myself in an interview, knowing what I wanted to say when I wanted to say it. Can I resend the links? Which links? Olenka, you were all the links here. there's a bunch of goodies. And one more time. There's the super long Max talking about stuff video. And like I said, I believe you have access to most of these things. They should be somewhere in your dashboard, your learning space. Oh, look at that. I'm at the end of my slides. Yeah, for sure. Cool. All right. That being said, does anybody have any questions about what's coming up next? There are a bunch of questions in the chat that I want to go back up and go and answer all of those. I can speak to my experience, what it was like for me as a graduate and now as an employee, if you have questions about that. But yeah, we cruised through that. Awesome. I generally like to wrap up the first part of that before 6:30 so that we have a bunch of time for questions. But yeah. So do you have questions about what's coming up next? I do like the questions that you're putting in there already. So by all means, keep those coming. But if you have specific questions about what we covered tonight so far, please let me know and I will try to address those first. And then we'll just talk about a bunch of other stuff. So let me scroll. And I guess you don't need to look at that part of my screen for the rest of the night, right? So let's do that. All right. Sorry, there's a lot of stuff in the chat. I'm going to scroll back up to maybe where I started missing some questions. Okay, yeah, we have questions about homework. I think we got it. Tiffany, Tiffany was sending messages directly to somebody, apparently. Awesome. Guilty, I've done that too. Kyle, you bring up a good point here. So, Kyle, just as a general statement, said that he's all done, but he's going back to review from lesson 1 to feel better about everything. It never hurts to review. It's always, the material's there for you to access. You can still certainly go back and read it. Yep, some of you already have your internship card unlocked. Do most jobs in tech space require a background and drug tests? Fair question. I don't know. I had a background check run on me. I did not have to do any drug testing. That might just be my particular experience. I would say it probably varies company to company. I had way more pushback trying to get into like sales positions than I did getting into tech. What does that mean? I don't know. Let's see. There are things about the internship. I think we answered this. Okay, and yeah, Tiffany, you had reached out. Okay, yeah, you're just waiting on an email. Meetings will be recorded. Yep. Listen, nobody rag on Linda. She was being sweet. I was just trying to help her out. Manuela says the Slack gives me anxiety because there's people from the previous class there. Yeah, I mean, it's a busy space. There's a lot of stuff going on there, but don't feel like you need to be glued to it and get every single message, but it is a good place. You can pick up some knowledge. You can get some questions answered, stuff like that. I used to try to dip in there, in between doing my daytime job and then my side jobs and stuff like that. I cannot find the time to do it anymore. Tara, your computer just did something weird. What did it do? Tell me about it. Now I want to know. Sakta, there's a little out there, but where do people usually search for jobs for QA? That's a good question. And there are a lot of different job boards that you can look at. I would tell you that I found most of my success in Indeed. And then I also found a fair number of listings on LinkedIn as well. Now, sort of longer answer to that, there are a whole mess of job boards out there. I would strongly advise that when you're going for your first job, do not try to niche down. I would, take the shotgun approach, right? Try to cover a wide spread. Again, I found most of my stuff in LinkedIn and Indeed, but there are plenty of job boards out there. So go to them, like ZipRecruiter, Monster, Hired. If you're looking for like specifically remote work, there are some paid job boards. I don't know if I would go that route for your first job, but maybe when you're looking for your second or your third position, maybe try one of those more like specialty ones. And before I get too far off the deep end with this answer, let me just tell you again, when you're going for your first job, do not try to specialize. Do not try to niche down. I get it if you are the kind of person that says, oh, I'm really passionate about green energy, or I'm really passionate about finance, or I'm really passionate about, working on games, whatever it may be. Don't try to specialize into that for your first job. Try to get some real world experience. And then when you're getting a good paycheck and you have some breathing room, then going into your second job, you can search with more like specialized filters on, so to speak, right? But don't just think like, oh, I want to work for Tesla, and so I'm only going to apply to Tesla. Like, don't do that. I hope that lands for everybody. Yeah, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. So Anthony had double question marked me on my 24 days. Yes. So what happened in my experience, once I finished the program, so just like you did the internship, I had 2 projects that I worked on. There was like a mobile one and a web one. Then worked with my mentor, is a woman named Anna. She was awesome. I did like 3 mock interviews internally, and then they were like, you're good to go. So from the day that I sent out my first application until I accepted a job offer was 24 days. So what I did was, for the first, I would say a little less than 2 weeks, but let's say about 2 weeks, I personally sent out about 300 applications. And that's just get it out there. It is a numbers game. It is statistics. The job boards are not rigged against you or for you. It's just stats. So get your name out there. There's absolutely no reason that you can't send out 300 applications in 2 weeks. So if that sounds crazy, just break it down to how many that is per day. And like, you can send out 25 applications a day, I promise you. In the morning, just sit down with your coffee, take an hour, and send out 25 applications. I mean, send out more. I'm not going to stop you, but that's how you get it done. So from there, I sent out 300. I heard back from 7 companies, which ironically turned into 4 interviews. One of them just straight up flaked on me. And then the other 2, in between saying, yes, we'd like to set something up, and then getting an interview, they had already filled the position. But I interviewed with 4 different companies, and I ended up getting 2 different offers from them. And I took the offer that paid actually significantly less, but the job setup was much better for me. So, and to that point, money is a motivator, and I like money as much as the next person. But when you're applying for jobs, take everything into consideration. What is the culture? What is the product? Where will you be working? Do you have to commute? What kind of, what are their priorities? Do they care about the same things you care about? So on and so forth. My first 2 offers, one of them was for $70,000 as a contractor, and the other one was for $99,000 as an employee, which I was like, that's awesome. And actually, I'll talk about that a little bit too. So when you're interviewing with somebody, the question about money will probably come up, right? And if a company asks, what are you expecting to get paid? Please don't answer that with a number. Just don't do it, because you might be limiting yourself. You might be shortchanging yourself. So in the event that you are asked, what are you looking to get paid? There's a couple different ways that you can answer that. I would encourage you to sort of find your own voice in that space. But basically, you can answer like, well, I am getting paid, I don't know, 35 an hour or 40 an hour. and I'm looking to get paid in line with, what the industry average is for this state. That's sort of a generic way to answer it. Pretty that up with your own words. But my experience, if someone asks, what are you looking to get paid? The best response that I can come back with is, what is the budgeted salary range that's been allocated to this position? Because there is one. They do know how much they can pay for that position. They have a number. They just kind of want to know what your number is. And maybe they're looking to see if they can throw you a low ball offer. Case in point, for that second company that I had applied to, they did food delivery robots, and they were based out of like West Hollywood or something. And I was like, that's awesome. I want to go play with robots. When I was asked, what are you looking to get paid? In my head, I was saying I would be very happy with a starting salary of 80,000. Okay. But I didn't say that. I didn't say 80K. I said, well, what is the budgeted salary range that you're offering for the position? And the guy that was interviewing me came back and he said, well, listen, I can't give you six figures. I can't do 100K, but I'm authorized to go just under it. So we could offer you 99. Does that work for you? And I'm like, yeah, that works for me, dude. Are you kidding me? But also, two things to take away from that. One, had I given an answer, I would have left 20K on the table at that job. That kind of feels bad. But two, also consider what is the totality of the job offer. And the simple fact was, I liked the remote work setup. I like being able to work from my living room. I was loving my Tesla, but I also didn't love LA traffic. So I didn't want to have to drive to WeHo every day. And the job was not even in an office. It was in the field, which again, playing with robots, very cool. But I would have to go out on sidewalks and streets with that thing in the middle of the day. It's hot out. Maybe I'm bougie, but I didn't want to do that. So despite what sounded like a really cool opportunity, I ended up actually taking the contract position for lower money, for 70K, just because that company was a better fit for me. I liked the team. I liked there was like the vice president of technology was in my final interview, like really cool guy. Everything just felt right. And so I took that position instead. Now, fast forward to where we are today, I'm definitely getting paid over, that 99,000. So it has all worked out, so I wasn't really concerned about the money then, because I knew it would come. I knew that if you showed some good skills and some good abilities, like the money will follow, right? So now I can make my base is over 110, and there's bonuses and benefits and all that good stuff. So that's my very long-winded talk about my interview process. And I hope that you can take something out of that can apply to your situation when you're going through it as well. Let's see. So when I started out, the job title was basically the same, right? It's like software QA engineer. That's basically what it has all been. At this point in time, I'm at a company called Beachbody. They're a fitness company, and my job title is now like QA engineer level 2. What does that mean? I don't know. I have all the same responsibilities, more responsibilities, I suppose, but like I basically do all the same stuff. I work the same number of hours. I'm still in the same chair. It's all kind of the same stuff. Sidebar on that, when you are applying for jobs, please do not look for junior positions or like entry-level positions. Do not put that into your search parameters, okay? You're better than that. You're worth more money than that. Don't limit yourself to just those job postings. You're looking for, like, you are a QA engineer. Just look for that. There's a bunch of other search terms, right? Like, functional tester, front-end tester, SQE, in test, SDE test, manual QA engineer, software QAE. There's a bunch of terms that you can use. Go for those. Do not go for entry level. Don't go for internships. God, don't do that. Go for the real jobs, right? That is, let's see. House says, this is going to be fun, man. Yeah, it is. It genuinely is a fun, like I came from a background of years of management and sales and managing clients and customers, which was great, but also kind of draining and not very validating. Like you're only as good as your last month's income that you made. And that's not a great way to go through life, because who you are as a person is not what's on the table. It's like, did you make us money? So that was when I decided I wanted to make that switch. $24 days. I don't know if it's a record. I hope somebody beat my record. Listen, if you get it in under 24 days, come find me in LinkedIn, rub it in my face. I'll be happy to be beaten. And Linda, don't worry, you're good. You're good. And yeah, that was me getting the first job. No cartwheels included, Tiffany. Don't even worry about it. Connor, great question here. So this is a two-parter. Connor asked, do you have a lot of devices to test on for real devices? Yes. Or do you use BrowserStack a lot? Not a lot, but yes. So this is a good question because I want you to know that you do not need to go out and buy a bunch of stuff to get your first job, okay? Don't feel compelled to go out and buy a new MacBook and buy a new sit-stand desk and like all the cool, like, you know, get a microphone. Like you don't need to buy all that stuff. Equipment that you're going to be required or asked to use at your job, they will send it to you, okay? So to that point, you're asking, do I have a bunch of devices? Yeah, I do. Like right off the bat, they should at the very least send you one of these guys. I'm going to guess for the vast majority of you, it's going to be a MacBook. Some companies do use Windows, but it kind of feels like these are the industry standard at this point. So you'll get some sort of a MacBook Pro. If you are asked to test on Android, they're going to send you an Android device. If you are asked to test on iPhone or iOS, they're going to send you, some iPhone. What is this? This is a 11 Pro, and this is a Pixel. If you need to test on iPads, I'm lazy, it's over there. If you are asked to test on Chromecast or Roku or Google TV or something like that, they're going to send that to you. So the company will give you the hardware that they are asking you to test on. You will test on real devices. We don't test on emulators, with the single exception being, as you called out, BrowserStack. If you need to do backwards compatibility testing for web browsers, yeah, fire up BrowserStack and check out an earlier version of your web app just to make sure it's all working correctly. But for devices, no. You don't use emulators. You will get the real devices. I have heard rare situations, and this is not the norm, but I have heard rare situations of people that are doing, they're doing an interview, and it's like the first interview, and this is a scam, by the way. They're doing their first interview, they're getting some softball questions, and the company's like, yeah, you're great, we're gonna hire you. Go out and buy a MacBook, send it to us. We will load all the software on there that you need to do the job. And then, like, you've got the job, you're hired. Like, don't do that. Definitely don't do that. That's a scam. They will send you the stuff that you need to do the job. So thank you. Good question. Let's see. Manuela, I don't know if I understand this question, but the question is, I told my work I am working till June 30th. If I find a job before that, I can ask to start later. Could you rephrase that and ask again? I don't know if I fully understand where you're going for that. And let's see, Zana had, yeah, this was more of like an affirmation, but the information that we learned throughout this course will get us through the interview. Yes, that is true. That is absolutely true. Are we required to be on cam in the grad meetings? No, you are not. That can be a cameras off experience. You're just listening in for all the good information. Yeah, that is a super long video, but like just packed full of good information to have. Like, be able to just rattle off those top 20 questions, be able to just throw an answer out there full of confidence, and you're in the bag. Totally good to go. And Paulina, you would ask, where can we find the link for the Saturday? I'm guessing this is for the Saturday classes or the Saturday meetings. It'll be emailed to you. These years later, I still get them. I'm still not going to them, but I'm still getting them years later. So I know it works. And then, yeah, if you guys need those links, someone had asked, they had petitioned to take the links that I posted to get put in Slack. Yeah, go do it. I second this. I third this, Amanda. In fact, I'm going to. Keisha, that's a really good. So happy I changed to QA. I'm glad you're here too. I was very glad that I found it. I was a little bit stuck with what I wanted to do professionally, and I wasn't really confident that I wanted to continue down the sales route. So Moise had asked, Moise, were you on a different tech track? And no, I wasn't. So I spent a decade in the fitness industry. So, personal training, nutrition, massage therapy. Then I got into team management. Then I got into gym management. I was pretty comfortable in that world, but after about a decade, the luster had sort of worn off and I was looking for a change. So I got more into like sales stuff, and that's what got me into real estate and property management. And I was doing that for, again, about 5 years, but that was a cumulative 15 years of my value, my worth, and arguably my self-worth being mentally tied to other people, to like performing a service where I was ranked on the money that I generated. And like, I have to be here for appointments at all hours of the day. It wasn't great. After 15 years, I wanted something else. And so I actually ended up going to, there's a company, you don't have to do this, but I went to a company called the Johnson O'Connor Research Foundation. And they basically put you through like a whole day of tests, like, written tests, puzzles, audio tests, to kind of figure out how do you work up here? I hope you work up here, but how does your brain work, and what are you most likely to be happy doing? And it pointed me towards a variety of different career paths. The tech specific ones were like, yeah, you should do web design. You should do, you could do front end development. You could do UX, or you could do QA. And I was like, what the heck is QA? So that sparked a very quick Google search, which got me information from like, Forbes and CNBC, just talking about the industry. And I was like, wait, I can get paid good money to tell people when they messed up? Sold. Sign me up. I'm joking, but I'm not. And that's what led me to find Careerist. And that's what, I ended up taking the course and doing all the stuff. So it was definitely a good decision. It's been a great career path to be on. I'm very happy with the company I'm at and the things that I get to do. But yeah, no, I was not on a tech track. I did also, at the same time that I was taking this, just because I'm a glutton for punishment, I was also taking a coding program, because I was like, well, maybe I do want to do front-end development. Turns out front-end development is a lot harder, and a lot more responsibilities put on you. And quite frankly, I didn't want to wear that hat. I had a lot of fun, like learning how to code and being like, oh, I can make this happen on a website. Cool. Like, built some little quizzes and stuff. But I found, for me, again, trying to get away from sort of like the stress of work, I wanted a workplace where I got to do what I do, not have to work overtime, and not have a ton of like pressure on me. If that's what you want, then coding is not for you, because when stuff breaks, you have to fix it, and you have to know why it's broken, and you have to be able to, do all that stuff. Anyways, this is not a conversation about that, but I found that QA was the much better fit for me. Yes, these are my rants. Paulina, you said I need to see examples. Mine was returned. I'm freaked out. What happened? What were you freaked out about? Talk to me about that. Let's see. Okay, someone took care of Deidre, getting those links opened. Teamwork, let's go. Did you get your job from another state? No, I did not. So I had actually moved. I'm from Boston originally. but I had moved to LA because shoveling snow was not fun. And I just wanted something different. So I happen to live and work in Los Angeles, but I've never been to my company's like office or headquarters or whatever it is. So I'm fully remote. I happen to be within the same state. I am casually considering a move somewhere else, but you can be in any state and work in any state thanks to the new and evolving remote work environment, which is pretty sweet. To George and perhaps a couple other people that might have the same question, you're saying, how do I get my internship started? Because I finished everything and I still haven't heard anything. Just keep an eye on your dashboard, your like the learning center there. Just keep an eye on that over the next couple of days. If you've been to all the classes and you've done all the little assignments and the homework and the quiz that you had to do, which was super easy, right, everybody? That card should show up somewhere within the next couple of days, I would venture. The deadline is Friday to get everything done, and therefore there has to be a pretty small window between like everything needs to get done and when you have access to the internship. So just keep an eye out for that and it should show up soon. Someone is asking, I don't know. Linda had said, is it just my computer? The links aren't pulling up a specific video for me. Someone want to spot check that? I hope that they're working. Sumi had asked, is the mentorship just basically the job application process? No, not at all. They are, the mentorship is going to be you working with a mentor to construct or optimize your resume. And the same thing for your LinkedIn profile. Again, if you don't have either or both of those, totally fine. You're going to build one from scratch with them. If you do have one, you are going to revamp that bad boy, and you're going to make sure, again, that it is optimized for your new job search in tech. Then you're going to be doing some mock interviews with them. So you'll be going over the material that's in that big long document in that video, making sure that you understand how to answer those things. You'll get multiple rounds of just making sure that you feel good during that interview. So it's the job application process starts after the mentorship. Okay. And the mentorship will probably take close to a month, I would imagine, to get everything done. Paulina, what do we apply on when we type on Indeed? Do we type IT? No, you do not type IT. Good God, please do not type IT. So you're effectively, there are many, many variations of this, but you're looking for manual QA positions, okay? So manual QA engineer, manual SQE. There's even something called like SDET, software development engineer in test. That's sort of an edge one, but functional tester, UI tester, front end testing, manual testing engineer, any variation of that phrase is going to be what you want to be looking for, and spread out across multiple job boards. Jordy, awesome tech talk. How long does it take to fill out an application? Well, this is a question from Tara. Depending on the platform that you're on, it can take 60 seconds to fill out an application. Like if you just go on Indeed or something, it'll be like, here's the job post, apply to it. Here's my name, my contact information. Do you want to attach a resume? Yes. Cool. Thanks. Like it'll take you like a minute. Yeah. Sandra, we are not leaving money on any tables around here. Yeah. And it's, be about your money, but be about your happiness as well. So, objectively, I'm not going to tell anyone not to chase money, but also look at the whole picture. Like, what makes you happy? Did I feel a little silly taking a position that was like 30,000 less? up front when I started my QA career. Yeah, for a minute, I did, because I was like, well, I want to go to WeHo and play with robots and get a bunch of money. But it absolutely turned out to be the much better scenario. And again, now I'm making more than that. So it all worked out. And I think that my net happiness was much higher as a result. But yeah, if you see money, get some money. Now I'm being quoted. Oh God, thank God I'm not on TikTok, because I would find me maybe on bougie. And yeah, to several people have talked about, not being great at negotiating or not knowing what to say in an interview. Yes, this does play into soft skills, and I think that it benefits everybody to know a little bit of sales. So, if you're not fantastic at selling yourself, I would say that is a skill set that you should pick up. And I mean that genuinely. I'm not like saying like you should know this. I'm saying like it will be a huge benefit to you now and forever if you can effectively elevate or pitch yourself, if you can tell people what value that you're bringing. There was God, who did this video? There was something about like how to either like find your life purpose or sell your life purpose or explain your life purpose or something like that. But it basically comes down to like, can you tell people an end product that you provide for the world, right? So instead of me saying like, hey, I'm a 37-year-old man that works in IT, that's a garbage description of myself. But if I said something like, and I'm just pulling this out of nowhere, but like if I said, I help companies change people's lives. They're like, what does that mean? And I'm like, well, I'm part of the team that helps optimize the products that get delivered to the end users. Cool. How do you do that? Well, I work in a field called QA, and what we do is blah, 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 right? So, and again, that doesn't sound very smooth. I'm just pulling that off the top of my head, but basically it would behoove all of you to get a little bit of experience in marketing yourself. You don't have to go out and be a full like marketing person. But for sure, like be able to, again, confidently and competently talk about yourself and why do they give a damn about you? What can you bring to the table? Let's see. We have a client. I have Beachbody on demand. Awesome. Cool. Keep an eye out. A lot of cool stuff coming. Probably if you're, I'm going to plug my own company here. If you are a customer or a subscriber or of what we do, you've seen that we have this whole new product offering right now about body blocks, and it's really cool. Some people recognizing my company. Can I be your mentor, Paulina? I would love to. However, I am just a teacher. No, I'm not part of the mentor squad, but I promise you they're all great. They were excellent to me. They were a big benefit to me getting my first job. So I'm sure you'll be great. But I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Whatever happened to P90X? Oh, it's still there, still kicking. Which was sort of my experience. Like I knew about Beachbody because I was in the fitness industry for 10 years. And I remember like Insanity and P90X and all that stuff. And then I hadn't really heard that much about them. So when I was in a position to now I've had the position to apply and work for them, I was like, oh, this is kind of an ironic full circle moment, which also ironic. 0% of my fitness experience has ever been used in this job. But they are still putting out a lot of, good content. My position, my role in the company, I've covered many, many projects, but within QA, I've been responsible for testing some of our moderator tools and some of the things that we use to run our live interactive fitness experiences. Testing on iOS, testing on Android, testing on web, testing on Chromecast and all that stuff. Currently, as it stands, I am one of the people, or actually I'm sort of in charge of QAing our video encoding process, which is a very complicated data dense content checking process, but it's good. We get to make sure that the product that we have is the best possible product that goes out to people. So, and that might be something that you fall into as well. So we can perform our job in a variety of different ways. It's like, here's a tool that we use, test this tool. Here's a video player that we deliver to clients, try to break it. This is our new purchasing flow for people that want to buy t-shirts or, someone mentioned Shakeology. Great shout out. I should save this. But for all of those things, you might be testing in different capacities from other people on your team, and that's fine. So just get an opportunity to try to test and mess with as many different things as possible, because you might find yourself eventually just becoming a real source of knowledge on that thing. And when you can be an expert, you can get paid more money and you have more job security and you can help train other people. And that's just fun. Nate's iPad, your whole iPad sent me this message. Typically, what's your week-to-week process like at Beachbody working wise? Well, every week is a different week. I can tell you that. But short version, it's going to be that you're going to clock in the morning. Like your daily process is basically the same, right? So you're going to clock in, you'll have a stand-up meeting in the morning. So you talk about, what did I work on yesterday? What am I working on today? What are my blockers? What's stopping me from being able to do my work? That's pretty much it. Then in the morning, you're going to be testing things. You will probably have tickets that have come in overnight, bugs that you need to go validate and say like, yeah, this is a bug. Make sure it gets to the right team or to the right engineer. You may have test cases that your QA lead is asking you to perform. And so you're going to test those test cases out. Then you'll have a nice lunch. And because most of us work remote, you either get a nice home cooked meal, or you can go walk to a restaurant, or you can go to the gym or go to the pool, or I don't know, just do something, get away from your desk, which is a huge benefit of what we do. Quick sidebar, because we're all working from home, it is possible to kind of get into this negative or this bad habit of just always being at your computer and always being glued to it. And you're like, well, I'll eat my lunch at my desk and then I'll kind of check a couple things casually while I'm on break. Don't do that. It's good for your head. It's good for your heart. Get away from the computer and then come back in the afternoon. So in the afternoon, bugs that you have reported either that day or over the last couple of days, the teams might have a new version or a new what's called an RC, a release candidate, for you to test out. And yeah, you'll go test that against the bug reports that you have on it and say, either yes, this did fix the issues that I reported, or no, it still needs more work, and you send it back. Depending on the workload you have, you might actually finish your work at like 2:30 or 3 or 4. Of course, some days like today, I worked right until 5, but it can vary. It can vary week to week. And that's pretty much going to be your process every day for just for every day, forever. It's very low stress, no overnights, no weekends, no sales, no, customer service calls, nothing like that. It's very easy to do. George has summed up the experience in one sentence. I'm kind of intimidated and excited at the same time. That is the right feeling. That is certainly an appropriate way to be feeling about the process. And I promise you, if I can do it, you can do it. Let's see, what else? Do you get to keep the devices that you test on? No, that would that would be a world, huh? No, of course, if it's a company device, you will eventually send it back once you leave that company. But it's really nice just to say like, hey, whatever, like, oh, I've been testing on an iPhone X. I think more people are using the 11 or the 12, like send me a device. And then there you go. Don't be demanding like that just sounded out of my mouth, but you know what I mean. Will we be using our own equipment for the internship? Yes. Yeah. So when you're in the internship, I mean, you're only there for a couple of weeks, right? It does not benefit them to send you equipment. By the time you got the equipment, you'd be like halfway done the program anyways. So yeah, you'll just be using your own device, but it's think of it as like QA light. It's going to be a very easy couple of weeks doing that internship, I promise you. Not because it's like not worth your time, because it's absolutely worth your time. It's just, it's easier than I think you might think it is. What if you need a desk? Then girl, you buy a desk. Go buy a desk. I love this thing right here. Again, bougie. So, I have a nice like 55-inch wide sit stand adjustable desk, and it gives you all the real estate to put like your other monitors and your microphone and your other devices and stuff like that. But if you need a desk, go buy a desk. And I would also say that a large percentage of companies do put some sort of extra, I was going to say padding, but like there's an extra stipend that you might get from your company for your home office to be able to, put into buying things like that. Like if you want a specific keyboard, or if you want, like I'm so stupid for having like this little like RGB mouse, vertical mouse, but it's comfy as heck. And so I wanted it. Oh, and actually, Sandra had a question right after that. This might seem like a silly question. There are almost no silly questions, but do you get a stipend for internet? In general, I do get a tech stipend, or a home office and learning stipend, I suppose you could call it. It'll be varied like company to company, but in general, a large amount of companies, yeah, they will have some extra money because you're working from home. They want you to be productive. So like, yeah, get a good chair, get a good laptop stand, get a second monitor. Like this is huge. Linda says, Linda. I'm sorry if I missed this. What is a good minimum salary to expect without telling them what you expect? So, I mean, you should be gunning for the 70 to 100,000 range for your salaries. If you're in a situation where you feel like you should accept 65,000, like you just need to get some money on the table right now, then, I'm not going to stop you from doing that. But I would definitely say like, you should be looking for 70 to 100. Excuse me. What does that equate to? If you're talking hourly, that's going to be somewhere like starting range. I would like you to start around 35 an hour. Okay. Now, if a company throws you an hourly rate and you don't know what that equates to, basically think about it like this. Whatever your hourly rate is, if you double that, that's about how many thousands of dollars you're going to make in a year. So if you get told, hey, you sound like a great fit for the job, we want to give you 25 an hour. First of all, you don't take that job. But 25 times 2 is 50. A $25 an hour job pays you about 50K a year. And the same will hold true for 35 and 40 and 45 and 50, something like that. Just take your hourly, double it, and that's how many thousands that you're looking at, give or take a couple thousand. So yeah, I would probably set your floor at 70, unless again, you're in a situation where you feel like I do need to get a job right now. I'll take 68 or I'll take 65. But again, I wouldn't go throwing out numbers to them in general. I would ask them, what is the salary range? What is the budgeted range for this position? Manuela, I don't know if I fully understand this question, but it says, if I get a job before my 2-week notice, can I request to start after those 2 weeks have passed? I think if you're talking about like, say you have a QA job and then you apply to another job, or maybe you have your job that's not QA now, and then you want to apply to a QA job. I think that's what you're asking. Can I request to start after those 2 weeks have passed? Yeah, part of the interview process, they're going to say like, when can you start? And I do believe, making yourself available as soon as possible is great. But I also think it shows that you have integrity if you can just let them know, of course, I'm happy to take this position. I am accepting it. And of course, you understand, I do need to give my company fair warning so that someone can get trained up and be able to replace me in my position. I will give them a 2 weeks notice. Are you okay if we push my start date after that 2-week notice? Everybody will say yes to that because it shows that you're a good employee and that you care about the people that you work with and for. Zana says, thank you. And I'm going to say, you're welcome. Is this being recorded? My baby is crying. Is it me? I'm sorry. Yes, this is being recorded. So if you do have things to attend to, Of course, family first. Where can I find the time schedule for the internship? And I believe that that will be provided to you once you have access to that. So either in the preparation checklist for the internal project / when you go to the external project, they should have oh my God, they should have times, calendars, schedules posted there for you. Deidre, I was in a toss-up between QA and sales engineer, and I chose this because it is less stressful. And I prefer not to be in front of people all the time. I mean, yeah, this is, I think, like, just if you just compare this to pretty much any other job, I would say that this must be one of the lower stress jobs out there. Certainly in tech, I would imagine that this is one of the lowest stress tech jobs for sure. Where would be the best place to work as a QA engineer? I think that, George, the answer is it depends. You know, that's really going to be specific to you, what you want out of a workplace. What is the pay? What are the hours? Where is it located? What do they work on? Do you like your team? All that good stuff. So I think it depends. I would not limit yourself to any one subsect of technology. Like, don't just say, I'm only going to work for companies that are, you know, I don't know, making cell phones or making electric vehicles, or I'm only going to work for banks because I want money. You know, don't limit yourself there. I had no idea that I was going to be working at a fitness company. You know, I was very convinced that I would want to go work for like a huge tech company. And as it turns out, no, this was a much better path. Could I explain, and this is a good question, could I explain the difference between hard skills and soft skills? I mean, yeah, hard skills are technical abilities that you have. So like hard skills would be, you know, what we do in QA, you know, hard skills using Chrome Dev Tools, using Xcode, using ADB. Hard skills can be sales, they can be coding, they can be construction, you know, any of those. Like it is a skill set that you have that is like it's a technical thing, I suppose. Soft skills are going to be more like interpersonal skills. So client retention, customer service, sales, communication. I guess when people say soft skills, I would say that like communication and empathy are going to be the top of the list when people consider soft skills. But it's like it's the non-tangible things that help you perform your duty or help represent a company, you know, that are generally more like client relation facing. I think that's not an absolute answer, but that's how I would differentiate between the two of them. Like you know, like a hard skill is, yeah, I can you know, I can test on Android devices. I can use Charles Proxy. It's a hard skill. Soft skills would be, I'm an effective educator. I'm a good communicator. I'm a strong, you know, I'm strong with B2B sales. Actually, that kind of toes the line, but like, you know, good, effective salespeople. What about software QA engineer? I think this was in relation to search terms that you could use for the job, and the answer is yes. Mentorship is after internship. That is correct, Deirdre. Yes, the order of operations is going to be internal project, external project, and those make up your internship. Then you have the mentorship. Then you have your job search. And do you need a cover letter? George, I'm going to tell you no. No, you don't. And you also don't need multiple versions of your resume. Have a good, strong, single resume, and that'll take you everywhere you need to go. I think I did write a cover letter for 2 jobs just because I was very interested in what they did. I didn't get either one of them, but you know, it does not really matter. Get the applications out there. It's a numbers game, right? So I'm not going to tell you that they are a waste of time, but like, optimize your time. Deidre says, I have my internship tab and I'm afraid to click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Do it. Let's all peer pressure you into clicking the button. Don't peer pressure your classmates. Being a bad example. Can I find a QA engineer job with the government or banks? Yes to both. Absolutely. There was like a military contract job that I was looking at. I did not want to go through the vetting process for it, but it sounded pretty cool. It was up the coast here in California, but there are plenty of government jobs that need QA. There are, every banking institution. And in fact, let's just open this up globally, right? Think of a company that has an app. Think of a company that has a website. Like, if yes, comma, then they probably need a QA person. And so you can find work in all kinds of sectors for sure. Do I do any QA automation testing at my job? No, zero, none. I don't know how to do it. And that's not a requirement for what we do as manual QA, luckily, fortunately. Now they do get paid more money for doing what they do and knowing what they know, sure. But as it stands for what we do as manual QA, you don't need to know anything. You don't need to know anything about QA automation. You do need to know some stuff. Alexander is asking, you're either asking or telling if I did a truck driving job. No, I don't think I'd be cut out for that. Brutal. It's because of the goatee. This dude. Oh man. Listen, this is the only place that my head will allow me to grow hair. So got to do what you got to do. That's funny. We probably will be busy with the internship. So graduate meetings attendance is required during the internship. As if, yes, these will not conflict with each other. The graduate meetings on Saturdays will not conflict with the internship obligations that you have. That's pretty much just going to be like during your work week. And it's like 2 hours a day. Is our mentor going to give us this great information you're telling us? Aw. I mean, they're going to give you other great information, right? They're going to be the ones that are helping you put together your LinkedIn profile, your resume, shaping the outward presentation of you that's going to be on the job market. So they are also super valuable. Listen to everything that they say. It works. Just, yeah. But I am glad you get value out of this, which was absolutely the reason that I came back as a teacher. I think after never having heard of this career and then sort of stumbling into it really, and finding that it's a really great experience. Like, I want more people to know about this, but also I want to be able to speak to people like you, who I've been in your shoes. I've been through this program. I've arrived at lesson 19 and thought like, well, what the hell happens now? Like, what do we do next? Am I prepared? Do I know what I need to know? Is this mixture of excitement and anxiety like justified? Is it warranted? I wish someone could talk to me from a real world experience. And so I hope to be that in some capacity for you. So hoping to bring you some value and also hoping to bring you some knowledge. Do I work from anywhere or do I have to be home? Well, I like being home because I have all of the comforts of my house, I suppose. But also, like, my desk setup is pretty sweet, and it helps me do what I need to do, like, microphone, 2 notebooks, headphones, laptop riser, extra keyboard, extra mouse, second computer, iPad, second monitor. Like, that's maybe one of the most important things that I have here in the home office. So it is beneficial to set up a good workstation at your house. However, yes, I have also, worked from upstairs. Like, I've worked on the roof, I've worked by the pool, I've worked while traveling, I've been in different states and done my job. So you absolutely can. Okay. you physically have the ability to work from anywhere. I'm not going to tell you that you, Deidre, have full license to work from anywhere in the United States, because you're going to want to check with your company first. Depending on the company that you're at, they might have some sort of restrictions on that. So as an example, if you work for some sort of a financial institution, I would speculate that they might not want you working out of hotels. They might not want you working on public Wi-Fi, where that could be compromised. Even if you have a VPN, like, you can still be compromised on a public network. So, check with your managers or your HR people before you just go like willy-nilly working from any old place, right? But short answer to your question, like, yeah, you can work from pretty much anywhere. Yeah, I do love my second monitor. It's absolutely a game changer in being able to do what I do. What about California? Paulina, what about California? I mean, I'm here. It's got its pluses and minuses. I am kind of thinking about moving though, just because I kind of miss seasons. So thinking about maybe heading up north or something like that, because as much as I gripe about snow, it's cool looking. Ooh, Irene has a clarification. Sorry, Manuel, I had asked you for an update on that, and then there's a bunch of other questions. Okay, so I understand your question better. Thank you, Irene. If you get a job, so you're at your job until June 30th. If you get a job before that, would you be able to push your start date to July? I have to give you the real scapegoat answer to this and say, I don't know your work situation. I don't know why you need to be at your job until June 30th. And therefore, I don't think I'm qualified to tell you whether or not you could do that. It sounds like you have a specific scenario at your job. I honestly don't feel like I'm qualified to give you a definitive answer to that question. It sounds unique, and I assume that there's a reason you have to be at your job until June 30th. So I'm going to leave that to your own best discretion for you. Oh, okay. And so, Paulina, you would ask, how much can I ask for in California? I mean, there are, especially because we have San Diego, Los Angeles, you got the Bay, SAC, and San Fran. Like, I think we command the highest salaries. So if you're in California, I mean, that 70 to 100, that's, again, that window is really where you should be starting. You might be able to go to the high end. You could be asking for 40 an hour or 45 an hour, which is going to be 80 to 90K as a starting point. I think you absolutely should feel comfortable asking for that. How is the pay dished out in the tech field? I mean, you get a biweekly paycheck, pretty standard. Completely unrelated, but thanks for pronouncing my name correctly. Hey, you are welcome. And I've had some swings and misses for sure. So you're welcome. During your time, that makes me sound very stately. During my time, were there any graduates in my cohort that were employed in big tech companies? I'm going to be real honest. It's been a few years. I don't know. I would imagine that some of them by now have probably hit, some of the big FANG companies, though right now that's not a super hot place to be. So I don't know if I would go applying for those companies, but off the top of my head, I do not know. I take that back. I do know someone that out the gate ended up getting a job with Facebook. Dre says, have you ever had a work-related miscommunication / disagreement / general argument with any developers that you worked with? No, actually. Up until the point you said developers, I was going to be like, oh yeah, I can think of some people. But in the tech world, no, this has been very non-confrontational. Everyone's sort of like willing to chip in and help out. No, I've never had a direct conflict with anybody there. But if we're talking like, if it was outside of tech, oh yeah. Yeah, and I think Manuela and for a couple of other people, I would double down. Like, I do not feel that cover letters are a requirement. I don't think that they're necessary. Is the internship a pass or a fail? Yes, but you will all pass. So don't worry about that other word. Testing. Alexander, when you say testing javelins, do you mean the sharp, pointy, throwy thing or the launch from a missile carrier thing? I don't know which one you're testing. And typically this, I'm being sarcastic, but these two tie together. So Tiffany asked, do I have to get some type of clearance to work in a government position? And generally, yes, they're going to have a more tightly regulated background check, clearance requirements. Some jobs might even, so I'm forgetting their name right now, but the company that I was talking to that was in California, they were up the coast here. They were government / military communications, and they wanted a very long list of background checks, but then also I would have to go through the process of having some, not extraordinary, but basic security clearance stuff. And I was like, I'm going to be real honest with you. I don't think this is worth our time. So I'm going to save us both and remove myself from this process. That is, yeah. Listen, I hope you don't have to test missiles, man. That's, I don't know. The testing runs on those must be pretty rough. But let me know how it goes. I read a lot of people getting fired from their jobs during this economy. Do we have to worry about that? I mean, that's a legit question, right? Like, let's not dance around it. There are a lot of tech positions that are getting cut right now. It's true. That being said, that does not, that is a large chunk of those companies, but the job market itself far exceeds those companies. So for Facebook and for Google and for Amazon and anybody else that's just axing people by the thousands, excuse me. One, yeah, I think that those companies definitely got overly confident and overhired during the pandemic. And they're realizing that their bottom line is being affected and they got to clean house, and it's rough. There are people losing their jobs, but there are plenty of other companies that are hiring. There are way more companies that are hiring, not firing. There are always opportunities for you out there. And to add to that, I would say that we are a tech position, right? Like we operate in a tech field, in a tech position, but we don't just work for tech companies. So when you're in your job search, do expand your net or your sphere of influence outside of just like the FANG companies, outside of just big tech. There are so many different opportunities, companies you've never heard of that are desperately looking for people to help their growing business make sure that their apps work on multiple platforms so that they can enter the market competitively. William Wright has asked, when is break? At this point, I feel like we have about 15 minutes left. So we might have missed the exit for the break. Emergency trip to Fiji. Alice is like, bye. Paulina, I think I answered your question, but you in a couple different variations had asked, how much should I charge in California? I mean, basically you're looking for like, what kind of salary should I be asking for? And I think we've touched on that a couple of times, but um, you know, when we talk about starting salaries, there's a pretty wide window there, right? Um, if you get an offer and it's at 70K, I would tell you to take that job because it's going to get you real world experience, and that carries so much more weight than you saying like, well, I deserve more, I'm worth more. It's like, I don't know, maybe you are, but getting the job, you can prove it to someone instead of just telling it to someone. And you also asked, do we get certificates when we finish this course? Yes, of course you do. So you will get a nice shiny certificate, and I promise you, no one is going to ask you for it. You will never need to see that thing. I don't know where mine is. I mean, I never printed it out, but yeah, you will get a certificate, and I promise you, you will never need to use it. Um, it's like going to a job and them saying, you need to be a high school graduate. It's like, cool. I'm not going to show you my high school diploma because you're not going to ask for it. If we miss a few graduate meetings, will we be penalized for that? No, you will not. It's not a punitive thing, so don't stress about that. They're there for your benefit. It is encouraged, and we say it's required. But if you miss a couple of them, they're recorded. You'll still get the benefit of that information. You just won't be able to ask any questions live and get real time answers for them. Oh, my man, Alexander is saying when you're Ukrainian, you have to. I mean, listen, nothing but respect. If that is your situation, if you are from there or you're going over there, I have huge love and respect for you. Obviously, support everything for your country, and as we go forward, we're coming up. What is it? 3 days from now, we're coming up on a year, which is some nonsense. I'm not going to get political in the last class of this program, but that is some nonsense. There's a very big Ukrainian population here in Los Angeles too. So a lot of conversations about that. But we're not going down a political road here tonight. Just know that you're awesome and I support you. Sandra, I skipped over your question. Oh no. Let's not do that. Found it. What are some of the companies that people do the externships with? I'm so sorry. I will not be able to give you an answer to that because the companies cycle out. We rotate our professional partnerships. So the companies that I worked with, we cycle through. So there's like all different companies right now. I don't know who the professional partners are right now. I think that, so a lot of people, when they graduate, they just end up finding me on LinkedIn and we connect. I don't promise them that I can do anything for them, but I'm always happy to answer a question or two if it comes up. And I do think I've seen one company called Lingo Card that we work with. But outside of that, I do not have solid knowledge of what the current companies are that you'll be working with. Will you have access to the videos and training materials after graduation? Yeah, absolutely. I tentatively want to tell you it's like lifetime access. I don't know when the limit is on that, but I got to be real. You might come back to them once or twice once you actually have your job. But I promise you, once you have your job, all of the on-site knowledge that you get there is that's going to take precedence over anything that you learned in the class. Your real world knowledge and your practical applications, that's really going to be what carries you. This is what gets you onto the horse, and then that's what's going to take you for the ride after that. In our portal, it says that some jobs have traveling requirements. I regretfully tell you that I don't know anything about that. I would ask the instructors or no, I would ask the instructors. What is that considering? What goes into that? because I didn't have to deal with that. There's a very good question and a very good answer here. I'm going to bring this to the group at large, but if you're making 90K in healthcare right now, but as a QA, you could get less than this, should I take the job? I really want to get into IT. My response to that would start off exactly like the answer you got, which is that that is a very personal decision, and it does depend on a lot of factors. So if you absolutely need to make 90K, like that's your floor and you can't go any lower, then you might wait a little bit longer to get a QA job that's going to offer you a starting salary of 90. Like it can happen, sure, but you might end up waiting a longer time. But also, keeping in mind that that's probably where you might start a little lower than 90, but you can absolutely build up over 90. But in a nutshell, I think it's very appropriate to say that that's a personal decision for you. I don't know what living factors go into your decision in your scenario. So that's a choice that you're going to have to make on your own. But yeah, like I said, like I'm making well over that. So those positions do exist and you can do them. And so Paulina, you have a lot of very specific questions that I will tell you my experience with these, and I have to say that they would apply to most people. I don't know if this would be an absolute though. So your question is, if we're working remote, are we required to travel? Now, right off the bat, in the job description and in the interview process, they should be very forthcoming with that information. They should tell you if there are travel requirements. I'm going to tell you for me and for all of the people that I have worked with in QA, there have never been any travel requirements whatsoever. I can't say that's an absolute, right? And so I don't want to tell you like, I promise you my life that this is not going to happen, because it might. But that information absolutely will be available to you in the job description. And when you're interviewing, they would have to tell you like, hey, we're going to require monthly check-ins at the office, or you're going to need to come to this place once every quarter. So they would tell you company to company. But if a job says it's 100% remote, then there should be no requirements at all. Ferdinand had said, do you think it's beneficial to get a insert alphabet soup foundational level certificate? We're being recorded, right? No. As a real answer, I would tell you that no, I don't think that they're required. Do I think that they're beneficial? I mean, I don't think that knowledge hurts you. I don't know if I certainly don't think you need to do them. Right? That's my full stop answer. It's not required, and I don't think you need to do it. There are certainly companies out there that will just sell you a certificate as opposed to trying to train you for a job. And I do believe that Careerist and the program that's here is the latter. I will very strongly stand by the fact that the focus of what we do is the course content and the knowledge that you get from it. It's not the certificate. Certifications, you're never going to really show them, but it doesn't hurt you if you're interviewing for somewhere and you say like, yeah, I have a certificate from here and I also have this certificate. I don't know. Do you understand like the delicate juggling act that I'm kind of going through here? I absolutely don't think they're necessary. But if you, as a student, as someone who wants to be educated, want to seek out further information, that's your prerogative, and you certainly could go do it. I am going to yeah, I mean, Cool. If you want to get it, cool. I just don't think that they're necessary. Very solid questions from everybody. I think that's it. Let me get a quick scroll through here. Cool. Yeah, I mean, we do still have a few more minutes. So by all means, if you still have questions, please ask them. I just want to make sure I'm not missing any big questions here. I will, let's see. William Wright. I do like your name. That sounds very fancy. Will or should we add careerist to our resume? Short answer, no. Longer answer, no, comma. And your mentors are going to be providing you with the ability to present your skill sets and your knowledge in a much better way. Certainly not that you should be like, how do I want to say this? Taking this course with Careerist, absolutely something that you should do and is beneficial to you getting a career in QA. However, employers, quite frankly, don't want to hire people that are just out of a certificate program or just out of a boot camp or that are like complete rookies, right? That's just facts. Companies don't want to hire that person. So I do not advise you, and the mentors would not advise you to put careerist on your resume. What you will be putting, and I'm going to save this for them to give you a longer spiel, but what you will be putting is the skill sets that you bring to the table, what your proficiencies are, the projects that you work on in your internships. And you want to be able to convey that you have the ability to do things, not necessarily the courses that you've taken. And that's a bit oversimplified, but you'll get to talk about this with your mentor in greater detail. But effectively, like, no, I would never tell someone to advertise themselves as new or a recent graduate or anything like that. When I was in real estate, there was a younger kid that was on our team, and God love the kid. He was like 20 years old, just burning with passion. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to be this awesome real estate agent. And I was like, dude, I hope you do. But he really wanted to pitch himself as like new young real estate agent or something, like, I'm 20 years old. I'm blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, time out. Nobody wants to work with a 20-year-old real estate agent, my dude. Like, take a breath. Because that's just not how you advertise yourself. But what you can say is like, I've helped people close, this many millions of dollars in deals, or I've helped this many families find their next forever home, something like that. Don't be advertising that you're new. And the same principle kind of applies to this, right? I would not tell you to do that. I would say, yeah, I'm a manual tester. I have proficiencies testing Android and iOS platforms. I have tested on web. I have tested on OTT, so over-the-top devices, which are like TV and TV adjacent things. I am confident and competent testing with Windows. I can test with Mac. I know ADB. I know Chrome DevTools. I know Xcode. I know how to use Postman. I have a little bit of SQL knowledge. I know how to use Charles Proxy and Proxyman. All of these things. You want to deliver a whole bouquet of skill sets and competencies that you have. And then you can talk about your job experiences, where if they say, tell me about one of the last projects that you worked on, or tell me about your last job, you can say, well, I helped test this app. This app helped people do blah, blah, blah. My function as a tester was to be verifying and validating X, Y, and Z. Something like that, right? You're just crafting that message a little bit differently. No need to apologize. Ask your questions, of course. Let's see, in the interview questions, there is some repetitive language. Do you advise that we really repeat that much jargon? Yes. I'm trying to think of exactly which questions you have. sort of like the first couple questions. Maybe one of those is pointed more towards a recruiter, and then the other one is more pointed towards the actual person that's interviewing you. So like you're the QA lead that is interviewing you. Those questions may have some overlap in their language. But yeah, I mean, yeah, there's some repeat terminology, there's some repeat concepts, and that's totally fine. It's a good question. Let's see. Paulina says, can I look for a job outside of this without my mentor? Now, I mean, yes, you can. Of course, I'm going to tell you, get through the internship, get through the mentorship, then start applying for jobs, right? And this didn't exist when I took this program, but you do have the JAS service, the job application service, that's available to you. And so like the company can help you apply for jobs. But yeah, absolutely. You should also be applying to jobs independently. Like cast a wider net, get the number of applications out there as high as you can to get a job as soon as possible. So yes, do what the mentor instructs you to do. Take all of that advice, which is very, very good advice. But then, yeah, I also encourage you to be applying independently as well. Let's see. Kyle C is manifesting some good vibes, and I like it, and I'm here for it. After we are done our 2 hours a day with the internship, can we stay longer for the day and observe if we want? Well, Tiffany, the short answer is the internship doesn't really work like that. There's nothing that you would be observing, right? You'll have tasks, you'll have responsibilities that you take care of on your own independently, and then with your team as well. But it's like, once you're done with your tasks, that's it. Like there's really nothing visual or observational about it afterwards. I like the initiative, but I would say that probably doesn't apply. All right. How long did it take you to complete your mentorship and start preparing for the jobs? I believe it was like about 3 weeks, I think. Maybe it was 4, but I feel like it was about 3. No, maybe it was 4, because I did do like 3 rounds of the mock interview stuff, and that did take a little bit of time. 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah. What should we say in an interview about why we changed our field to tech? That absolutely is a question that needs to come from you. That's a come from your heart. That needs to come from your story. I would say, oh man, I mean, why did you? You know, I would evolve that answer to be something more than, well, I like money and tech pays money. But you know, why did you? You know, what's your experience with technology? How does using apps in your daily life impact you? What you know, how do you feel about proofreading, copy checking? Are you the kind of person that likes to just quality check stuff in general? Are you like a leader personality that wants to make sure other people are having good experiences? What's your previous experience in some sort of customer service or like people serving business, and you like leading people to good experiences or something like that? Make that come from you, right? Make that sound organic, but maybe that gives you like a little bit of tinder to start out with. I mean, okay. So yeah, because I love electronics is honestly a good springboard. Evolve that answer more than I love electronics. But yeah, I mean, that's a great starting point. Absolutely. Carlos, hey, by the way, what? I got called out. What? All right. I don't need you to name names. But when you say you got called out, I don't know what that means, and it sounds silly. Why wouldn't you? I could pull up any number of tickets from my job that I didn't write. What's wrong with info panels? I don't know. That sounds very silly. Yeah, I don't. Okay. You know what? Yeah, maybe she's not a fan of colors. Maybe she likes a nice chromatic life. Again, don't name this person. I don't want to know who this instructor is. I don't care. I don't agree with that. I have a master's degree in Homeland Security. You have a master's degree in Homeland Security? What does that mean? That's awesome. And a bachelor's degree from a law school, but I'm done with that and I want to change my field. That you could actually construct a really good story from there, talking about responsibilities that you've had. You are an effective leader, you're a great communicator, you care about quality in services. Again, I have no idea what master's degree in Homeland Security is, but that sounds awesome. And if you have a bachelor's from a law school, like, again, you understand the value of making sure that people's voices are heard. You want to have representation of a quality product for people. I think you're always going to be pretty safe if you can gear your values and gear your motivations towards helping a company improve their product, and that is going to diverge into, like, make the company more money and also make the user experience better. And if you can kind of hit those two prongs, at the end of the day, that's what every company wants, right? They're like, I want my product to make us money, no secret, but I also want our product to be the best it can be, and I want our customers to feel that way as well. I want them to think this app is awesome, this website is awesome, and it improves my life, or it makes something about my life easier, better, faster, more accessible. So always, tie the story up with how it can tie into that as well. There's a lot of people sounding off about colors on bug reports. I fundamentally disagree with that take from whoever that person is. I'm just going to laugh about that. I think we hit everything. And again, I wasn't trying to shut anybody down, and we said that a few minutes ago. But at this point, we are over time, and I'm a big fan of respecting yours. So here's what I will say. If you have burning questions that you did not get to answer, or I did not get to answer, and you really want to ask them, you have 30 seconds to put them in the chat. Otherwise, this has been a fantastic group. I have enjoyed being here for lesson 19, for the end of the program. Definitely think, give yourselves what do you prefer? A pat on the back, a round of applause, $20, go buy an ice cream, whatever it is. Celebrate, because you took the initiative and you started a program and you went from zero knowledge of QA to just about being, job ready. You're still, of course, going to do internship and mentorship experience, but how you have new knowledge and new skill sets that are going to carry you into a very lucrative and rewarding career. So does that sound cliche? Probably, but I like dead serious. I mean that. This is a great opportunity. I'm glad I made this choice, and I'm really glad you all did too. So, take a couple days, acknowledge that, celebrate for yourself, and then get back to it. And I hope to see all of you. Come. Someone had asked if they can find me on LinkedIn. Absolutely. Happy to share success stories with people. And yeah, I hope to see you all out there just killing it in this new career. With that said, have a great night. I mean it. This group has been great. So thank you all for the good experience.